Welcome to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. I am your host, Dylan, along with my cousin and co-host.
Gab.
And today we are talking about a movie that I have nominated for one you've got to go. No, it's a movie to watch before you die. I'm starting over. I hated that so much.
Okay. I thought it was good.
No, I
I
hated it.
liked
I
it.
regretted it immediately.
Why? I thought it was good.
Terrible.
Okay.
Fine, we'll press through. We'll press through.
I vote we stay. Yeah,
We're
I
gonna
thought
stay
it was
right now.
funny.
A movie I've nominated is a movie to watch before you die. It is 2013's This Is the End. Gab, why don't you save me from myself and tell me what the hell is this movie about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
Oh, well, Dylan, this movie is about some beloved actors. Seth Rogen, Jay Baruchel, James Franco, Danny McBride, Craig Robinson, Jonah Hill, etc. Experiencing the rapture and trying to survive.
Okay, let's see if IMDb says the same thing. The IMDb plot summary: 6 Los Angeles celebrities are stuck in James Franco's house after a series of devastating events just destroyed the city. Inside, the group not only have to face the apocalypse, but themselves.
I thought mine was better.
I kind of think yours is better too, because that almost makes it sound more dramatic.
Yeah.
They have to face themselves. It's like, well, yeah, but like, that's not.
It's more like they have to face each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have to deal with each other. Like, nobody's fighting to the death in there.
Yeah.
As I think about if they did. You want to hear some taglines? They're very meh.
Aren't they always?
Not always, but these are. Ending summer 2013, which is clearly just a poster line.
Stupid.
Nothing ruins a party like the end of the world.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like I appreciate it in the fact that it's not a tagline that at least could apply to every single movie that's ever happened, like some of them are.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we've got that out of the way. Should we talk more about what the movie's about? Should we get into spoilers a little bit, or should we head into our opinions?
No, we can just give a quick overview. Dill, I think you probably do a better job at this. I really don't think there's like a ton that needs to be said, just based on like it's very silly. But you can expand on what you think is the most important stuff.
The basics of the plot is Jay Baruchel is visiting Seth Rogen, and he always stays with Seth when he's in LA. He is coming to visit for the weekend, and Seth that night decides to try and bring him over to his Hollywood friend's house, James Franco, so that he can try and sort of mix his friend groups, which may or may not go well. But before it really has any opportunity to get going, all of a sudden they leave for a bit and the rapture starts to happen. People start getting sucked up into the sky. Shenanigans ensue, and it's how will they survive? Will they realize what's going on? Will they be able to get raptured themselves to heaven, or will they, die in the process, or, go straight to hell?
Do you get raptured to heaven? I don't think that's I think
guess the rapture is the event.
Yeah. Rapture is not a verb.
He is risen like bread. Will you get yeasted?
Yeah.
Will you get yeeted? Is that what yeeted means?
I think that might be what I think some people got yeeted
Some
before
people
they
got
even
yeet.
Yeah, they didn't even know that yeeting was a thing and it happened to them. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. At the end of the day, those actors that I listed are really your main crew that are in James Franco's house trying to avoid like any further damage. There's people that come in and out. You've got your
I'm sure
Emma
we'll mention a lot
Watson.
more of the cameos. Yeah, Emma Watson is one of
Yeah.
the bigger ones. The
Yeah.
great thing about this movie and the hook for this movie from the moment I saw the trailer back in 2013 is everyone is playing themselves. Obviously, it's a heightened, ridiculous version of that, but Seth Rogen is playing Seth Rogen in the movie. Jay Baruchel is playing Jay Baruchel, and everyone else is playing themselves, which makes it, I think much funnier than if they were playing characters. Like the
Yeah.
hook for this movie is that it's these celebrities trying to survive.
Yeah. I
All
would
right.
agree with that.
Opinions?
Please.
In this critic's opinion,
That's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
There's 2 portions of this movie that are my favorite. The first is just everything, like when you get to James Franco's party and figuring out the dynamics of all the fake celebrities. Like Michael Cera is so good in this movie as a coked up, crazy deviant. Like Michael Cera's going around smacking Rihanna's ass, getting blowjobs in the bathroom. Like he's the most ridiculous character in this movie, and obviously probably the furthest from what any of these people is like in real life. Um, but you have so many cameos that I think are all great. Like Paul Rudd shows up very briefly.
So great. I was really hoping he was going to come back.
It'd be nice if he does come back more, but the brief moment he's there is really funny because he's also playing like a heightened version of what's Paul Rudd known for being, like super nice in every movie he's in and funny. And he's just
Yeah.
super nice and funny in this.
But a side note, did you happen to see a recent photo of Paul Rudd with a mustache looking his age?
If Paul Rudd is aging, the whole world is doomed. Like I feel like that's the
know.
first sign of the actual rapture.
Talk about the fucking rapture. He looks, I think he's like 54. And I was like, yeah, he looks 54, 100%.
Oh no.
I know.
First
you
of all,
see
he
it?
is 54.
I know. From the Super Bowl, right? With the mustache?
I haven't seen the photo yet. He was at the Super Bowl? Did I miss this?
I don't know. Dylan, just Google Paul Rudd Super Bowl mustache.
I'm looking at it now. You know what? He still looks pretty good for 54.
Listen, yeah, by our standards, but not by Paul Rudd standards.
Yes, he could still easily pass for, for 44 here.
That's the one. Why is he so skinny? Why has he got so many wrinkles? Why does he look like somebody's dad?
Well, first of all, he's definitely somebody's dad. Second of all, you can't always stay in Ant-Man shape. That's him with his son in that photo.
That's his son? Let me see.
Yeah. Which it makes sense. It looks like him.
Oh,
I
it
shouldn't
really
say it. He's a
does.
person. He looks like him.
Yeah, yeah. That's so nice. Isn't it nice when celebrities have kids and it's like, oh, I can see how that's half of you. That's half yours.
It also must be nice to be able to be like, hey, kid, I'm going to drop 10 grand minimum so that we can go to the Super Bowl together.
Yeah.
10 grand per ticket.
Yeah.
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 Or maybe
Yeah,
the
we didn't
MCU
have
has a
that.
box or something. I don't know.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. He's got a great cameo. Aziz Ansari is really funny in the brief moment he shows up.
Kevin Hart.
It's the most I like Kevin Hart in pretty much anything I see him in because I'm not normally like a huge fan.
That's so interesting. Corey felt the same way. And then we saw him do stand-up live. We went to Madison Square Garden for it was like, oh fuck, who headlined? It was Chris Rock, maybe Chris Rock, Kevin Hart. And Kevin Hart was like significantly funnier than either one of us thought he was gonna be. Yeah, that's my story.
You know who else is really good too? Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who is more famously he's McLovin from Superbad. But like
Yeah.
it's this nice little reunion moment of Michael Cera, him, and Jonah Hill. And Michael Cera, being the coke fiend he is, blows coke directly in his face for no reason. He's just like he just gives such a genuine, I've never done this reaction, and he's so scared. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think I just like everyone in the movie already. Like I have this predisposed idea to like them. So I like their characters much more. Of the main characters, you know who gives my favorite performance by far?
I want to guess,
Go ahead.
based on what I know about you. Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill is probably second. Jonah Hill
Danny
is,
McBride.
it's Danny McBride.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say first, and then I went Jonah Hill because I thought maybe the Judaism would help. But god damn it.
Jonah
I
Hill
should have
is
known.
phenomenal in this movie, but Danny McBride enters this movie like a tidal wave. Like he just takes over from that point of the movie to being the most interesting character in every scene he's in until he's suddenly out of the movie again.
Can I say something?
You can. You're allowed to on this podcast. That is half yours.
Thank you so much. With the fire of 1,000 suns.
I'm sorry. That's all the time we had for you to speak on this podcast.
Shut up. With every ounce of true passion in my soul, I fucking hate Danny McBride. Hate him.
In
I'm going to tell
general?
you, yes. And let me tell you why. Okay? This is the truth. Think about where we are from. Okay? For those listening who are not familiar, we are from a little place called Long Island, New York. And I want you to think about how many fucking gross, disgusting Danny McBrides you know. Of all ages, but specifically middle ages. Think about friends' dads. Think about like gross janitors. Think about like all of
What?
those people who are specifically, maybe this is more of a Suffolk County thing. Danny McBride. I hate them all, and I hate him the most as
So there's
their
no
mascot.
specific reason for Danny McBride, which he's not from Long Island, right? He's from Georgia.
No, I know.
Okay.
It's just, it's something about the way he looks. It's something about the way he talks. It's something about the way he carries himself. It's something about the way he is trash. And it's like, oh, but it's funny. It's not funny. I don't think
That's
it's funny.
kind of remind me of someone we both knew from growing up, Scott.
Oh my God. It is so fun. First of all, I want to make it very clear that we're not talking about Scott Interrante, who wrote the music for this podcast. We're talking
Very different
about
Scott from our childhood. Yes.
yes. We're talking about our aunt's ex-boyfriend, who, by the way, I think is dead.
Oh, that's terrible. I don't want to.
I
Wait,
know.
really?
I was thinking about this the other day, Dill, because I thought about how nobody in our family is ever going to hear this. I was thinking about how much we all loved him and how he was such a good person. He just didn't have his shit together. And no matter what, he was never going to have his shit together. And remember his dog, Casey? He had a dog named Casey. She was like a shepherd mix or something like that. He was just such a good guy. And our aunt left him because he was never going to be like a doctor or a lawyer or whatever, which the fucking irony. But like,
whoa.
just meaning like who
Shots
she's with
fired at
now.
people who will never hear the podcast.
Exactly. No, I'm not talking about her. I'm saying the guy she's with now is also
I know
like,
who you're talking about.
arguably way worse. Okay, good. But yeah, he was a really, really good person. But all of those types of people who were just like don't have their shit together, are just like drunk in the middle of the day, are like shooting off illegal fireworks in the middle of August. It's like, yeah, you're trash. Like, you're disgusting. You look like you live in a trailer park. And there are so many of them where we're from. And so many people think that it's like this like endearing, like, oh, but like they're so cool. And it's like, no, they're the worst part of us and where we're from.
Yeah, generally that type of thing is only cool in like the sitcom like Cheers, where like we're not seeing the rest of that person's life.
Yes. Yeah.
You gotta have your
But
stuff
you
together,
know-
but it's very difficult to have your stuff together.
Yeah. But you know so many Danny McBrides. I'm sure you went to high school with a bunch of them.
Yes,
I'm
I
sure-
will say you're putting way too much on actual Danny McBride, though. With no,
I'm sure he's
that's not-
lovely.
he's
But
obviously
every
not
movie-
like this.
Every movie he's in, he's like titties, and it's like not cute. It's not funny. I don't know. It just really strikes a nerve with me, and it feels like every fucking gross white guy that I've ever known growing up.
So did you not find him funny at all in this movie?
I just am predisposed not to like him. There were definitely moments that I did find really, really funny. I just, anytime he's on screen, I'm just like, ugh, I hate this guy.
Because can I tell you?
Also,
Oh, go
you know
ahead.
who's the biggest? I'm sorry, I'm going to throw this in there one more time. You know who's the biggest fucking Danny McBride of all time? 3, 2, 1, my father.
Okay,
So anyway, maybe that's where this is coming from. Let me call my therapist.
Gav, put that liter of vodka down, Gav. You don't need it.
My Stanley Cup.
Can I tell you what my favorite moment in this entire movie is? Because it's a Danny McBride moment.
Please do, and then I'll tell you my favorite moment in
Okay.
this movie.
Your favorite movement. If we ever do like Babe, we can do your favorite movement.
Thank you.
There is a moment where they're all fighting, and one thing that has been important is James Franco keeps all his props. Most importantly, the pistol from the movie Flyboys.
Mhm.
At some point, they're fighting, and Danny McBride's bitching out James Franco, and James Franco says, "That's it. I'm gonna kill this motherfucker." And he holds up the gun to Danny McBride, who grabs hold of his hand, puts his mouth around the barrel, and once nothing happens, pulls the gun out of his mouth. And he goes, "That's what I thought, nerd." He just walks away.
Yes.
And it is
I actually
so fucking great.
I wrote that down. Oh man, I wrote it somewhere about this. Oh God, I can't find it now. Something about nerd is really funny. Danny McBride calling James Franco a nerd was funny. That's a direct quote that I wrote down.
What makes it even better is, oh no, my brain, I've lost it. Oh, what makes it even better, going back to, physical media and me being a big fan of it, which I don't know if I even said that just now, but in general, it's well known that I'm a fan of physical media, is I
Yes.
remember from the DVD that it has bloopers on it. And one of the hardest things for them to get is him doing that. So he would just keep putting his mouth around the fucking prop gun and then just cracking up and be like, that's what I thought, nerd. Like he couldn't get it
Oh
out.
my God.
And it makes it funnier upon rewatch having seen that.
Another part of that scene that I really, or that sort of motif that I really like is when Jonah Hill takes the gun and he's like, bang,
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 bang.
bang, bang. That was very funny.
And he's pointing at people. He's going, oh, I'm so sorry.
yeah.
I'm going to kill myself. Bang, bang, bang. And he's like holding it up to himself. Yes.
Yes. But it does hit a little different now after Cowboy Jones or whatever that movie was called. Iron Cowboy with with Alex.
You talking about the movie with Zac Efron?
No, the movie where he killed somebody on accident with the prop gun.
Oh, I think you're talking about the Iron Claw.
No, I'm
You're
trying to
talking
think
about Alec
of
Baldwin?
Alec Baldwin. And what was the movie called? Steel Toe Cowboy.
I don't know. I don't know.
Boots?
It's
It
definitely
was
not
called
that.
like Iron Casket.
The Iron Lady.
It was something like that. Yeah, now every time I see a prop gun, I'm like, well,
Rust?
not funny. Rust.
You were not
iron,
close.
Iron Rust. Anyway. Okay, now
Oh
it's
my
my
God.
turn to tell you my favorite. There are two things in this movie that I found extraordinarily relatable. Okay.
Mhm.
When when Seth Rogen picks up Jay Baruchel at the airport and he's talking about, can we go to Carl's Jr.? And he's telling him all about being on a cleanse. And he says, I stopped eating gluten. And Jay Baruchel is like, what do you mean you don't eat gluten? And his response was, well, gluten, it's like a blanket term for things that are bad. And then
Calories,
he says, and
that's
I
a
quote,
gluten.
calories, that's a gluten. Fat, that's a gluten. Gluten is just things that are bad. And I was like, oh my God, that's like me talking to every nutrition client I've ever had where they're like, yeah, I don't eat gluten, like calories. And it's like, ah. And
Yeah.
then he starts talking about the cleanse, and then they immediately pull into Carl's Jr. And I was like, yep, that's my life. That's about right. That's
And
what
I
I
love
deal with
that
on a
movie
daily
of Seth
basis.
Rogen, that moment of Seth Rogen going, gluten.
Yes. Yeah.
There was a time with my grandma, who I've told many a story about on this podcast by this point, where I can't remember why, but she was like, I'm not eating gluten. First of all, she's 93 now. She was probably, 83 at the time. So I'm like, really, grandma, why at 83 years old are you cutting out gluten? What's the impetus for gluten now? And she's
Yeah.
like, my friend Cookie isn't eating gluten. I don't think I should be eating gluten. Which, does every old person have a friend, or is the person named Cookie? Is everybody
Yeah,
like,
when do people, at what age do you start going by Cookie?
somebody does at every, like, it's like a transformation happens when you get your AARP card, that it's like, I will now be the Cookie for the people of my community.
Do you think it should be me? Should I be the Cookie? Although
can.
we're missing the very obvious joke about Cookie not eating gluten.
They do make gluten-free cookie. They have to,
They
because she had
just-
celiac.
Yes,
So
I
she
suppose.
actually could not have gluten. But grandma, I'm like, grandma, you can have gluten. It's not a problem for you. And she's like, I can't have gluten anymore. She's getting angry about it. And I go, what's gluten, grandma? And she goes, what? And I went, what is gluten? Tell me what it is. And she goes, it's the glue that holds the. I'm like, why did you
No.
go the glue? And like, she's making the hand gesture like it holds it together. And I'm like, I don't think so. And you know what? You're gonna have gluten. She has since forgotten about this. She eats gluten now just fine.
Oh my God. That tracks fully.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I really did love the line. They're talking about Craig Robinson and they go, sweats a lot, but he's a great guy. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like me talking about all of my clients.
There's a lot of, because it's, it's all celebrities, but they're all just talking about like friendships and stuff. It does become relatable in a sense. Like when James Franco's talking about like fucking Danny McBride, like he's doing his video confessional, like, yeah, we've all probably had a friend that we're like, God, I don't think I want to hang out with him anymore. But what's great is Danny McBride skulking in the background, like fucking hearing him say every word of it.
Yeah.
You know what line?
Which, by the way, has that ever happened to you? Have you ever been like talking shit about somebody and they hear you?
1,000%. 1,000%. And I feel awful about it every time. But yes, it's happened.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. We're all human. My friend Haley, who will never hear this, Haley one time in college, but
You're
she's
placing a lot of
younger
bets
than
that
us.
no one will ever hear these.
I know. I'm like, nobody listens to this. It's just me and you in a safe space. Um, Haley is like 27 years old right now. So when she was in college, things like she had access to technology that you and I didn't get until afterwards. So she had an Apple Watch. Crazy to think that people in college had Apple Watches, but she had an Apple Watch and she and her friend were talking shit about somebody. And Siri called them. And so it went to voicemail, but she left this really long voicemail talking shit about this person.
To
And
the
then was
person she
like,
was talking shit about?
yes, yes. And then she was like, she had to be like, oh my God, please don't listen to that voicemail. I'm talking about really like sensitive things about myself, like medical things. Like, please just delete it. And he didn't. He listened to it. And
Well, yeah, because once you
yikes.
go, I'm talking about super sensitive secret things, nobody's like, well, I can't listen to it now. No, you know what that would make
Right.
me do? I have to listen immediately.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like, I know, like, you know, a cover up when you hear one, But anyway,
I don't trust any of these devices. I don't have Hey Siri on my phone.
yeah,
I hate when the device accidentally listens. The door's closed. She can't hear me. Alexa, she terrifies me. I don't trust her.
I know, I know, I hate it too. Speaking of things I hate, I fucking absolutely hate it. Did you hear me burp into the microphone when I said that?
I didn't realize, but keep going.
Okay, good, good. Hopefully nobody else did either. I fucking hate it when I have plans with someone and they spring on me not just different plans, but different plans with other fucking people. Absolutely not. No, 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 and no. Do not tell me it's just going to be me and you hanging out and then say, oh, by the way, we're going to a party with a bunch of other people. Absolutely not. I am not mentally prepared for that. I thought it was just a me and you thing.
Yeah, adding any people to a plan is not cool without specifically the only difference is maybe if you're already together and I go, do you mind if this person, hangs out too? But even then, it's like you shouldn't do that either. I don't know.
It depends
Once
on
the
the
plan is set, the
circumstance.
plan is in place.
You know what? Let me be more specific. If it's like me and you and you're like, hey, can Zach come? It's like, yeah, obviously Zach can come. Like, that's my cousin. Like, we're the three of course. If it's me and you and you're like, hey, do you mind if we also go hang out with all of my friends from high school that you don't know? Then it's like, no, absolutely not, because I thought this was a me and you thing.
Well, that makes sense too. Of course, it matters. It matters what the plan was already, and it matters who you're adding to the plan.
Absolutely.
It's like you're baking a cake. You know what I mean? It's one thing if I say, "Hey, you mind if I add a little bit more butter?" Sure, that goes well in a cake. If somebody says, "Hey, do you mind if I add some vinegar?" No, you don't put that in my cake. Does vinegar go in cakes? I don't bake.
I'm not positive, but the way that you're talking about ingredients and baking so cavalierly makes me believe that you don't know how to bake. So
I have no idea how to bake.
yeah. Here's a question. James Franco, we cool with him?
I don't think so. I think this
What
was like the
happened?
last of James Franco. I think he was coming on to women who were younger than he should have been. And yeah,
Interesting.
generally not cool. He's very funny in this
Um,
movie, but he's like not the funniest.
yeah, his character is kind of not set up to be the
Yeah.
funniest though.
Although I do like them making fun of him specific things. Like when they're like making fun of the green goblin can't afford this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Um, Corey has a pretty interesting take. I'm interested to hear your thought on this and anybody listening. Not that anybody's listening.
Haley and
Corey,
Scott, leave your comments below.
so RIP. Um, I really now I have to ask my mom if he's dead. Um, Corey doesn't love Seth Rogen for abandoning James Franco as a friend after that whole scandal came out. James Franco kind of like ditched him. Thoughts?
You mean Seth Rogen ditched him?
Yeah, sorry. Seth Rogen ditched James Franco. Ditched.
James Franco. Well,
Words are hard.
it depends. It depends. Like, if your friend murders somebody, you're not supposed to be like, yeah, but he's a great guy. You know what I mean? Like maybe Seth Rogen still hangs out with James Franco on the down low. I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
it would be weird to be like, I publicly think he's great, because then he's just torpedoing himself too.
Yeah, but and it's true that there's like a public, persona or whatever like to deal with here. But I think that I know for a fact that if Corey's best friend Frank made some kind of bad decision like that, that he would still be like, but that's my best friend. And like, he's an idiot, but I love him still. And, you know, whatever. And I think this is a little different than killing somebody, right? Like,
It obviously, but like, if Zach commits a horrendous crime, another person who won't listen to this podcast,
right.
if Zach ends up committing a horrendous crime, am I going to visit him in jail? Sure. Am I going to go publicly, have town halls where I say, Zach's actually a great dude? Probably not. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
one thing, maybe he still supports him personally. He doesn't have to use his, celebrity pulpit to be like, James Franco is great and you're all wrong. Like, if he did something that's wrong, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I would expect Corey to still be Frank's friend in that scenario. I wouldn't expect Corey to go and tell everyone else that they're wrong about Frank and that no matter what Frank did, Frank should be loved and respected.
Yeah. No. Okay.
There's layers to this shit player. Tiramisu.
Jonah Hill being super nice and saying weird things is maybe for me the most relatable part of this movie.
Fake nice Jonah Hill. I love him in this movie.
Yes.
Jonah Hill from Moneyball.
Right. I cannot begin to tell you how many times in my day, like every day, I see somebody that either I feel like I had a weird interaction with, or I don't want them to dislike me and I feel like maybe they do, or worse, I think maybe they think I dislike them. So I'm like, hey, those shoes are so cool. You are so cool. I saw on Instagram that you went to a petting zoo. That's so dope. I love petting chickens. And then I'm like, and I've just made it so much worse.
Everyone knows your references are off the hook. It's one of those types of things. Yeah. It's also very relatable because I totally know people in my own life who it's like, listen, I know you don't like me. I'm not a big fan of you. We don't have to do this.
Yeah.
We don't have to fake this.
100%.
And he's just got some great lines, like him talking about his dog he just adopted, Aja, who doesn't know how to bark. She just looks.
She's
and screams.
incontinent. It's good.
Did you notice that when Seth Rogen is in heaven at the end of the movie, spoilers, I guess, that he's holding Aja?
No, I didn't notice.
Yes.
That's funny.
Can we talk about, I think it's a very funny movie. There's not too much to talk about besides it's funny. But one thing I will talk about is the possession of Jonah Hill.
Sure.
The exorcism of Jonah Hill, I guess I should say. Which is, one, the makeup is great on it. Two, they end up, hijinks ensue, and the bed that he is strapped to is set on fire. And they do a great job with several shots of a man who is actually on fire chasing them. And I just think that that's really cool because whatever he's wearing, like a Jonah Hill mask, it looks really good. And there are several times where oh no, they're clearly standing right next to actual fire. There's a lot of scenes where it's like, oh, they're in front of a green screen right now. But that's not one of them.
Yeah. No, it's good. There's a line that somebody I think says to Jay Baruchel, and I don't remember who, but they're talking about him being a hipster. And they're accusing him of being a hipster. And he's like, I'm not a hipster. And they go, I bet you hate movies that are universally loved. Forrest Gump. And he's like, yeah, piece of
horrendous
trash.
Piece of shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
good.
Oh. Another Jay Baruchel line that I really like, which he's sort of your audience stand-in, because I feel like he's probably the least mainstream famous of these actors.
Yeah.
But he has a great moment where he goes, I don't need a group. I'm like DMX. I'm a lone wolf. And Seth Rogen has a great retort. DMX isn't a lone wolf. DMX has the Rough Rider crew. You can't stop, drop, and open up shop alone.
I did laugh at that. I thought that was really good. I thought that was very funny. Okay, I'm going to read you a couple of my notes just in the order of how they come out. Okay, so this is sort of like my experience watching. Michael Cera is so funny.
Yes.
You've watched Arrested Development, of course.
A long time ago, but yes.
Okay.
I've never seen him
Brilliant.
in anything that I thought he wasn't good in, though. I've seen him in things that weren't good, but he was never the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He just is so specific. I feel for him. But he does such a good job at making fun of himself and being funny that he works in so many different roles. Then I wrote, Craig Robinson used to be a music teacher.
Did you look that up or you just knew that?
I just knew that, but I think I knew that from his time of like playing the piano and singing on The Office, that
Huh.
he was a music teacher before
He
he
would be
became
a
an
cool
actor.
music teacher.
I have the warm fuzzies for him big time.
He is generally very likable. But I think most of these
So
actors,
likable.
I think a lot of them are. Probably him the
Okay.
most. I feel like he has the least like going against him, I feel like, if anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have the warm fuzzies for him in a big way. I always have. And I think maybe that might be due to my love for The Office and like his role on The Office. But he's amazing. I love him. So, the next thing I wrote is, what the fuck are you making me watch?
At which point was this?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Um,
How much
the
did you know
next
going into this movie?
very little, but I'll tell you what, I've seen Hot Tub Time Machine like 3 times, and this is the same thing.
What the? You see, you said that when I brought up doing this movie.
Yes,
That you
I
were
did.
like, I've seen Hot Tub Time Machine. They could not be less similar.
I'm telling you, it's the same movie.
Okay. That makes me worry for your eyes and your brain.
Okay.
Okay.
Next I wrote Paul Rudd. So I guess what the fuck are you making me watch was early on?
Maybe it's Michael Cera in the bathroom that made you say that.
Oh, it was definitely Michael Cera in the bathroom, but
You want
also
to
I
sip?
think
Little
Michael
sippy sip?
Cera becoming impaled by the light post.
Oh my God, that's a great moment when he's talking about who took my fucking cell phone. And when he's up on the pole and it starts ringing. That's
Yeah.
embarrassing. Oh, boo. Boo you.
Yeah, no. Then I wrote Bang Bang You're Dead. Jonah Hill is the best part of this movie. I stand by that.
Okay.
Then I wrote Danny McBride is disgusting. I also stand by that.
I do not. I think he's maybe the MVP of the movie.
Okay. Then I wrote, how am I expected to believe that this mansion has an outside cellar door and not a below level basement?
Because fuck you. That's the movie. That's your big problem?
No, I'm just saying that, like, I don't believe it. I
Yeah.
get it that it has to happen for plot purposes, but you're not fooling anybody. Then I wrote Danny McBride calling James Franco a nerd was funny. And then
That's
I
what I
wrote
thought. Nerd.
James Franco has a lot more to admit than just this.
What does he admit?
At the end, he's like, I don't know. He was like, I've been a bad person.
Oh, okay. At some point when they're all admitting they've done terrible shit.
Yeah. But that's really all I wrote.
Did you laugh at Sinkhole DeMaio?
I chuckled.
Okay. Um, you know, it's a really funny scene to me too. The one guy who shows up who is not a celebrity during the time when they're barricaded in the house, the guy who's asking to be let in.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, when they're talking about him when he's right there and he's going, "You should let me in. I can hear you." Like the guy just has such a way of delivering the lines. Like there's a moment where he goes, "He could be a looter or a rapist or a titty fucker," and he goes, "You want me to titty fuck you? If you want me to, I will. So good, you'll love it."
Yeah.
It's the desperate
Yeah.
delivery that is so
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's another one of the very few like practical effects moments of the movies when he gets decapitated by something outside, and they're all kicking the head around like a soccer ball. And we briefly switch to severed head cam where we're looking up as we're getting kicked around on the camera. And there's a moment where Jonah Hill goes, "Guys, this was a person. This is their head." And he goes to pick it up and it's tripping and goes, "Ew," and he drops it. Like every moment of that scene is great to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, is there anything else that really stands out to me? I do love, as you can tell by how I started it, James Franco talking about Danny McBride going, "He's got to go. He's got to go. Motherfucker's got to go." It's just
that
a
was
stupid way of
so stupid. I also I think it's worth noting that when the demon, I already hate that I have to say this, when the demon is like chasing after them. Oh, actually, no, when the demon comes to Jonah Hill and possesses him,
Mhm.
it has a giant dick.
Yes.
And I didn't appreciate that.
Can I tell you that's a reference to Rosemary's Baby? Like, obviously not specifically the giant penis, but the way that that's shot, where Jonah Hill opens his eyes and he can just see the demon who is, forcibly making love to him. And you just see the red eyes and Jonah Hill going, this is real. That's very specifically a reference to Rosemary's Baby.
Mm.
Maybe not the most tasteful joke in the movie. I'd probably agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, it happens.
Okay.
They can't all land.
Yeah.
Uh, Another thing I love about The Exorcism of Jonah Hill. Have you seen The Exorcist?
Yes, but a long time ago, but yeah.
But you're well aware of the line, "The power of Christ compels you."
Of course.
I love Jonah Hill going, is it compelling? Is it
Yeah.
compelling me? It doesn't feel very compelling.
Yeah. I did like that. And then him being like, oh, it burns a little.
Hey, guys, it's starting to sting. Fuck off.
Yeah. That was very funny.
Yeah. And did you not like Danny McBride finally fully becomes, the character you want to hate when he is the leader of the cannibals? Did you not
Yeah.
love that with maybe the best cameo in the movie by Channing Tatum?
I hated it.
What?
Hated it. That specifically, you'd hit the nail on the head in terms of humor that I don't think is funny.
Why?
Dylan, I don't
I mean, you don't
know.
have to defend it. It's your opinion. Like, you're allowed to think
I
it's not
just
funny, but
it the only way that I can put it, and I'm gonna piss some people off, not that anybody listens to this, but it's boy humor. Like, I don't think it's funny that Channing Tatum is his like gay sex slave. Like, that doesn't make me laugh.
okay.
I don't I don't know why. Like I get it. It's like how funny. Ha ha ha. Channing Tatum is so much better looking than Danny McBride, and why would he be? But it isn't it's not funny. I don't think it's funny. But I'll tell you what I do think is funny. The birdcage.
That's out of nowhere, but sure.
I'm just still mad at you about it. I just wanted to bring it up.
I feel like I can see where this is going, but you know what I'm going to say is really funny in that line, in that scene where James Franco is about to ascend until he's flipping them the bird.
Yeah.
And he comes back down and he goes, "What happened?" And Danny McBride has a great line. He goes, "Because you were being petty, Tom Petty."
Yeah. I do like that. I like anything like that. Like Corey and I do a lot of that where it's like, I'm Tom Petty, right? Or like, the funniest one that Corey ever said was I'm Petty Murphy.
Ah,
That made me laugh. I did also think it was a really good callback to in the beginning, they're talking about writing a movie, and James Franco was like, yeah, and then he eats me. And Seth Rogen's like, why the fuck would you? And he's like, I don't know. I just thought that's a good way to go. Ha ha ha. And then that's how it, yeah, like, okay.
On the TV, before anything goes wrong, they see on the news about a big sinkhole opening up. Yeah, there's a couple of moments of foreshadowing that end up panning out.
Yeah.
One that you might not notice, and maybe I should just be getting to the verdict if I'm going to start talking like this, but everybody who is we see helping in the house ends up ascending. We don't see Jonah Hill ever helping out, like digging or anything like that. Therefore, he doesn't get to go up. Danny McBride walks off. He doesn't get to go up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Another interesting thing, the movie originally ended with just them fading to white as they're ascending. And people, I guess, like during test screenings, they felt like they needed something more. So they'd already filmed the movie and they like called the Backstreet Boys asking if they would be willing to film something. And I guess the Backstreet Boys were like, what have we been doing for the past 20 years? Sure.
What do you mean? What have we been doing with that? They've been working. They had a residency in Vegas. They're still putting out albums. They're like still making music.
Let's
They're
not act like
relevant.
they're super major.
No, but they're definitely still working. And listen, I don't even particularly like the Backstreet Boys.
I'm just
an
saying,
NSYNC girl for life.
When they showed up in the last scene, I said to myself, oh my God, they're back again.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have said that because they've been making music and they had a Vegas residency. And honestly, if anybody's back again, if anybody needs to be Backstreet's back, it's the fucking guys from NSYNC.
I guess it just seems very odd that you're like, the Backstreet Boys have never left cultural relevancy. How could you say such a crazy thing?
Well, if you were into what I'm into, you would know that. But instead, you like Channing Tatum being gay for Danny McBride movies.
It's not about being gay. He is submissive. It's like prison rules.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say?
No. Just besides, do you want to hear some facts?
Yes. Is that the order we do this in?
It's the order we're doing in right now.
Let's go.
I want the truth!
Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
Starting with our ratings, IMDb gives it a 6.6 out of 10. On the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter, it has an 83%, with an average rating of 7.1 out of 10, 189 fresh reviews, and 40 rotten. The audience score is 71%, with an average score of 3.7 out of 5. The critics' consensus Energetic, self-deprecating performances and enough guffaw-inducing humor make up for the flaws in This Is the End's loosely written script. Couple of reviews. Larushka Ivanzadeh from Metro UK. There are some terrific one-liners, most of them insults, but this is a string of character gags, not a film, and the narrative barely putters along. Fair enough, Larushka. Wesley Morris from Grantland. There's wonder here that films with quadruple the effects budget would kill for. Glenn Kenny from MSN Movies. The movie definitely struck a chord with the crowd I saw it with a climax that brings bromance back.
Yeah.
Leonard Moulton from leonardmoulton.com. Every time you think they've stretched this as far as they can go, Rogen and Goldberg go farther. And last one, Richard Roper. This is one of the most tasteless, ridiculous, and funniest comedies of the 21st century.
Okay.
Do you want to hear a couple letterboxed?
Oh, you know I do.
From Dunya. Part of me wishes that Michael Cera is actually like this in real life.
I disagree. I like wholesome.
Did you see he had a great Super Bowl commercial?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, that was funny. Sean Fennessy, even funnier, more idiosyncratic, and knowingly up its own ass than I'd remembered. A cool document of the overwhelming influence and odd power these guys wielded for a few years. Something that basically dissipated over the past 10 years, and McBride's entrance is the stuff of legends. As a riff on modern celebrity, this feels impossible now.
Yeah, what happened to these guys?
Well, James Franco, so we talked about
Yeah.
that already.
Yeah.
The rest of them still all work. Danny
Yeah,
McBride wrote the past 3 Halloween movies.
Yeah, that tracks.
Did you see the Halloween movies? You definitely didn't see those. Get the fuck out of here.
No, it tracks.
Okay.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I can't because that's what actually happened.
Exactly.
Okay. Back to Letterboxd. Muriel. Jonah Hill.
Sorry, big important thing to know. Jonah Hill got dragged by his ex-girlfriend for being like emotionally abusive.
Yeah, super uncool.
Yeah, and I also have warm fuzzies for Jonah Hill, but not anymore.
Yeah, Jonah Hill, it's the classic funny person gets skinny and they become less funny.
Yeah, Ozempic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a psycho.
From Muriel, Jonah Hill should have won 2 Oscars back-to-back in 2013 for this and The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah. Yeah. Wolf of Wall Street, he was amazing.
Liam, Checkmate Atheists. And Robbie, this movie was ahead of its time for not letting James Franco into heaven.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
The movie had a budget of $32 million. It grossed $126 million. It was directed by Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, who have also directed The Interview, along with episodes of the TV shows Preacher and Future Man. The screenplay was also by Rogen and Goldberg, who also wrote Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, Pineapple Express, and Superbad. Stars Jay Baruchel as Jay Baruchel, who you may also know from How to Train Your Dragon, Blackberry, and Tropic Thunder. Seth Rogen as Seth Rogen, who you might know from Knocked Up, The 4-Year-Old Virgin, and Observe and Report. James Franco as James Franco, who you may know from 127 Hours, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and Spider-Man 1 to 3. Jonah Hill is Jonah Hill, who you might also know from Moneyball, 21 and 22 Jump Street, and Megamind. Craig Robinson is Craig Robinson, you might know from The Office, Zack and Miri Make a Porno, and Hot Tub Time Machine. And Danny McBride as Danny McBride, who you may know from Eastbound and Down, The Righteous Gemstones, and The Mitchells vs. the Machines. The movie also won the 2014 MTV Movie Award for Best Musical Moment, with the Backstreet Boys reuniting in heaven. Most of the paintings that are seen hanging in the background of James Franco's house were actually painted by James Franco.
Oh, interesting.
According to Seth Rogen, the plot his character suggests in the movie when he's asked what Pineapple Express 2 would be about was actually the real-life idea for a Pineapple Express sequel, which is probably why it never got made, but... Initially, Michael Cera was not actually slapping Rihanna's butt, but just making the motion and stopping right before touching her. As a result of the enclosed space forcing awkward camera angles, the scene was not working on camera because it looked too fake. Eventually, Cera asked Rihanna if he could actually slap her butt. She said yes, but on the condition that she be allowed to actually smack him across the face each time. Michael Cera agreed, but Rihanna neglected to mention, much to Cera's chagrin, she would be slapping Cera harder with each take. They did it 3 or 4 times, and Michael Cera had to go lay down in a trailer for about half hour afterwards.
Oh, wow. That's really funny.
The main cast took significant pay cuts to help Rogen and Goldberg save money for the budget. Jay Baruchel admitted that despite all the hilarity and over-the-top nature, the movie was somewhat therapeutic because he felt some of the arguments and confrontations in the movie were, on some level, things the actors have actually wanted to say to each other at some point. Emma Watson's role was originally written for Mila Kunis.
That would have been better.
You think?
Yeah.
I guess I don't know what the easier jokes would have been. Like Hermione solo or shit, it doesn't apply to Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, she's significantly more attractive. Like, it would make way more sense.
You about to act like Emma Watson's not attractive?
I just think it's apples and oranges, but in a way that like I really like apples.
I guess they're both Hollywood stars, and I think anybody would think you're crazy for saying either one of them is unattractive.
Okay, well, thank you for being so generous.
Okay. Whatever. According to Seth Rogen, about 50% of the movie was ad-libbed. Evan Goldberg said 85% at one point. The dog that Seth Rogen is holding toward the end of the movie is his actual dog, Zelda.
Aww.
When Craig Robinson is pulled into heaven, the music playing is a church choir singing Take Your Panties Off.
That's amazing.
And Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg said in an interview they were originally going to have an additional scene during the end credits showing James Franco and Danny McBride smoking pot with Hitler in hell, but they felt it would be too much.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't do that.
Yeah. And that is all the fun facts I've got.
Okay.
Gab, what are we doing next?
Totally pitching.
Here's my quick pitch.
Pitch me hard.
Here's the pitch.
You just pitch?
I don't need to hear the pitch.
You go first, because
Okay.
I'm nervous.
So, I'm calling for a remake where there's going to be a lot of ad-libbing still.
Okay.
It's going to be directed by the guy who made Euphoria.
Okay.
It's going to star Timothy Chalamet, Jenna Ortega, Zendaya.
Are these as themselves?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Barry Keoghan, Jacob Elordi, Taylor Swift, and Mr. Beast. And they're all making a vlog during the apocalypse for however many of their followers have survived.
Why do you got to bring Taylor Swift into it?
She's just very culturally relevant. I thought it made sense. Why is Mr. Beast in there? Why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
I am also proposing a remake. Except mine is, instead of a bunch of actors who
What sitcom is it the cast of this time?
it's not. I worked really hard to make sure it's not. It is it's a bunch of actors who take themselves way too seriously.
That's basically what I'm doing. Who are yours?
Yeah, but mine are better. Cillian Murphy, Joaquin Phoenix, Shia LaBeouf, Jared Leto, Matthew McConaughey as the James Franco character, and Idris Elba.
Why Idris Elba? Why did he get thrown in there?
I don't know, but I made him the Jonah Hill. I feel like so let me clarify, because I wrote it out a little differently. Cillian Murphy as Seth Rogen, Joaquin Phoenix as Jay Baruchel, Shia LaBeouf as Danny McBride, Jared Leto as Craig Robinson, Matthew McConaughey as James Franco, and Idris Elba as Jonah Hill. I just think he has the chops for it. He's like going to be overly nice and then end up possessed.
I think I dig yours better.
I know, mine is
I
better.
think-
This
I
is
think
3 in a
only
row.
for- I think only for Shia LaBeouf and Jared Leto somehow. Jared Leto should be the Danny McBride though, because Jared Leto leading a cult at the end makes too much sense.
No, Shia. Well, maybe, but Shia.
Maybe
LaBeouf
just switch
is
that so
out
that
of his
Jared Leto's
fucking
the one
mind.
who owns the cult. But yeah, I dig.
Yeah. But he has to. Shia LaBeouf screaming constantly. Yeah.
I dig it. I could see it. He
Thank
brings
you.
the paper bag back onto his head at one point.
Yep. But it's specifically like they're not arguing about like their petty friendships. They're arguing about like being a very serious actor.
I kind of want it to be Shia LaBeouf's house too, though, because I want them to come across like even Stevens props,
No,
like a
maybe,
Louis
but
Stevens standee or something.
it's got to be Matthew McConaughey because he is the one who's like arguably worth the most. He's the one who's like got the cool house. All right. Like it's got to be Matthew McConaughey.
That makes sense because he's enough of
Yeah.
like less of a very heavy personality for them.
Yeah.
I dig it. But also with Shia LaBeouf, I want like Renz and Bean to fall in the sinkhole.
Yeah. They could be at the party for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I dig it.
I've won so far. I've won all of them.
You literally said last time that I won, but that's fine.
Okay, 2 out of 3.
Okay. Who's keeping count, though?
Apparently you.
What? Okay. Enough with you, you son of a bitch. Let's get to some mail.
Fine.
Mail time! When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
All right. So first we got a comment on Jerry Maguire from our biggest fan, Scotty Cam.
Well, what's up?
So he said, yes, Jack Reacher in the novel. So this is going back to me talking about somebody I knew was very upset that Tom Cruise was Jack Reacher.
Uh-huh.
Jack Reacher in the novels is a 6'8" mountain of a man who previously worked in CID. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Before becoming a drifter, living off of his pension. Oh, that's the dream. I'll be a drifter if I get a pension.
Honestly.
Lee Child, the author of the novels, describes Reacher as an unstoppable force, and his size contributes to that aspect. So 5'7" Tom Cruise doesn't fit the bill. I'm the same height as Tom Cruise.
Good for you.
My license says 5'8".
Wow, you could get arrested for that.
No, you can't.
Maybe.
Also, I think I'm close enough. I'm like 5'7.5".
No, you're not.
I'm a tall boy.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm just close enough to average height that it makes me feel fine about it.
Okay, sure.
All right, whatever. You're short. You're shorter than me.
I am. Proudly.
Okay. I don't know why you're proud of that. I think that was more the director of the film, Christopher McQuarrie, finding ways to make Cruise work as Jack Reacher, despite the obvious height barrier. So McQuarrie and the crew crafted the action sequences in that film to make Cruise out to be an intimidating character who you wouldn't want to mess with. The second Jack Reacher film, Never Go Back, based on the book of the same name, did make it obvious that Cruise was horribly miscast in the part because the director of that film, Edward Zwick, wasn't quite as skilled as McQuarrie when it came to masking Cruise's height, and instead relied on elevated platforms to make Cruise tower over his opponents. I've never worn a platform shoe, although I did try on Giselle's heels one time because she wanted to see if I could walk in them. And you know what? It's hard to be a woman. Obviously for more reasons than that, but fuck that.
But also, your foot surely didn't fit into the shoe.
Not quite, but my calves looked great.
I'm sure they did. Congrats.
Then when Cruise didn't have the platforms, he was clearly shorter than his co-stars Kobe Smulders and Aldous Hodge. It was Jack Reacher Never Go Back that made Child realize that Cruise was wrong part for Reacher, hence why Alan Richardson, who's 6'5", was cast in the show, and Cruise actually congratulated Richardson on earning the role. Funnily enough, Richardson auditioned to play Reacher for the films, but lost to Cruise. As far as the films go, Cruise's performance in general was good, and he did what he could to be convincing in the role. Then again, that's probably because Cruise is a naturally good actor, and he's in his element in the Jack Reacher films. Playing generic action man.
I have nothing to add.
That's good. So I'll move on to the next comment, which is from Scotty Cameron. Also on Jerry Maguire, I'll always be on the side of owning physical media is better than relying on digital and streaming platforms for entertainment, whether it's movies, TV, gaming, music, books, or comics, because the physical copy never goes away, even when companies lose distribution rights to an intellectual property. Dylan's iTunes comment made me think back to when Jay-Z pulled all of his music off of Spotify from 2017 to 2019. So the only songs of his available on Spotify were collabs he did, such as the Collision Course EP with Linkin Park, because Linkin Park kept their music on Spotify. That's what does Jay-Z own? He owns, is it called Tidal? Tidal?
Yeah. Correct.
Do people use that?
No, it didn't work. I wouldn't be surprised if let's Google it because I'm pretty sure it's dead.
I don't think so. There's got to be people out there using it.
Oh yeah, it's still alive.
Yeah. Just not our thing.
Yeah, wow.
It made it so those were the only songs by Jay-Z I could listen to, which wasn't that much of an issue for me because I love Linkin Park anyway. However, if I just wanted to listen to plain Jay-Z, I couldn't do it unless I had the physical CDs or paid for iTunes. Pretty much meant that Eminem, Fort Minor, Exhibit, Bad Meets Evil, and Royce the 5'9" dominated the rap music I listened to when I wanted to take a break from listening to rock and metal music like Linkin Park, Nirvana, Bullet for My Valentine, Grey Days, 3 Days Grace, Saint Asonia, and Deftones.
Corey
I know
loves
some of those.
Royce the 5'9".
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know who that was, but he is 5'9", which makes him, Dylan, 2 inches taller than you.
I'm Dylan to 5'7".
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. That is how I wish people introduce themselves. Like, I never want to ask somebody's height again. Just like the moment I meet somebody, it'll be like Corey to 6'1". Like,
you think Corey is 6'1"?
To me, he's like 7 feet tall, Gav. What is he actually? 5'11"?
He is actually, and I think this is something he's very proud of. He's very honest about his height. He is 5'11" and a half.
All right, round that up. He's 6 foot.
Yeah, but the hair gives him a lot of height. He plays taller.
See, that's what I'm going for. Until the hair's gone, I get an extra inch out of it.
Exactly. Yep, there we go. And it's on your license and everything.
It is. Where was I? I at least have some Linkin Park and Deftones CDs I can play if those bands ever decide to pull their music from Spotify. Same applies to streaming platforms. Imagine if Peacock decided to pull The Office from the library. The only way to watch it is to subscribe to another streaming platform or have the DVD, Blu-ray, 4K box sets or pirate it. Which I do own The Office, just in case. If the world ever comes crumbling down and only one man has a copy left, I'll have it.
You have all of it?
Yeah, I bought the complete series. I bought it for Giselle.
How many DVDs?
I don't think it's that many. I think it's like 24 DVDs or something.
That feels like a lot. I was expecting you to say 6.
I might be wrong, actually. I think it might be 1 disc per season, so it might be 9.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because of Peacock, The Office exists only in my memory, much like the Titanic.
You know what I heard today? I was listening to, you remember Alex, who was a guest on the Bones and All episode?
Uh-huh. Yep.
I was listening to his podcast, You Are Good, and they were doing an episode about Twister, but somehow it comes up that on the day of 9/11, James Cameron was actually in a submersible looking at the Titanic. And when he came up, he was told about 9/11 by Bill Paxton.
What?
Like, imagine being that famous that I was like, yeah, my buddy Billy told me about 9/11 that day.
That's crazy. Wow. That's like a lot of parts of my brain all coming together. Wow.
It's a weird confluence.
This is a silly question, and I'm sorry, I could Google it, but I'm going to ask you. James Cameron, Twister?
No,
No,
it's
okay.
Jan de Bont, who is more famous as a
course.
cinematographer. I
Yes.
think he might have done Die Hard.
You know that Twister gave me extreme trauma as a child, right?
Really?
So, not the movie. I've actually never seen the movie. The trauma I received from Twister came by way of the ride experience at Universal Studios as a kid. You go through, and I don't remember if you're walking or if you're in a car or something, but I was with my parents. I had to have been, I don't know, 6 or 7 at the most. And I don't know if you've been, but there's fire and there's a tornado and there's rain and you get wet and the fire is very close and you feel the heat and there's a cow and I fucking freaked out. Complete total meltdown, and I have been petrified of both the movie Twister and tornadoes ever since.
I had a very similar experience with the King Kong ride, where I hadn't even gotten on the ride and I was like crying. I've got to be like 7 or 8 years old, and I was like, "We're gonna die, guys!" Like I was like, "I can't do this," and I don't know. It must have taken them at least like 10 to 15 minutes to like convince me, like, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Get on the ride. Get on the ride. And once I finally got on the ride, I was like, "Oh, this is great. He's an adorable big monkey guy. It's fine."
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see Twister until I feel like a couple of years ago. Giselle showed it to me, and I was like, you know what? This is fun.
Interesting.
Not very scary.
So I texted you not that long ago and I said, oh my God, they're remaking Twister. And then I said, oh, don't mind me. It's Twisters. But apparently they are related somehow.
They say it's not a remake. They say it's not quite a sequel, but there's going to be at least like references to, I'm sure, the movie Twister in the movie Twisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will
if you're
not
looking
be seeing
for
it.
a really bad movie with tornadoes, Into the Storm.
Sharknado.
I love Sharknado.
Do you?
I have seen all 6 Sharknado movies.
I'm going to tell you what, I don't want to watch it because I don't want to see the tornado part.
Gab, your mind will be able to process the very fake tornadoes of Sharknado. You'll be okay.
Nope. I don't think so, Dill.
I didn't
My
know
mind
that this
couldn't
is your
process
secret fear.
the very fake tornadoes in the Universal Studio lot ride.
You're a grown woman. You can do it.
Nope. Sorry.
That's going to be my next pick. The physical copies will never disappear, so those are worthwhile. Let's see here. Last comment here from Scotty Cameron on Groundhog Day. Live, die, repeat. Live, die, repeat. Live, die, repeat. Wait, wrong time loop movie. That's Edge of Tomorrow, not Groundhog Day. Have you seen any other like movies with the same concept as Groundhog Day? I feel like we
Nope.
might have discussed that.
No.
No, okay. Next comment on Groundhog Day from Lanola Cola. To be honest, I only remember this film for the Ned Punch. Also, movie night featuring Groundhog Day, Happy Death Day, and Happy Death Day to You. And you know what? I'd be down for that.
Something else.
Whoa. Ooh.
Do you get the reference to Groundhog Day?
Yes. Hey, what are you doing for dinner? Something else. Or what are you
Something
doing
else.
later? Yeah.
Yep.
And this last comment is from your boy on one of our shorts, which the guy's name is your boy, but I just want to refer to every listener now as here's a comment from your boy. Your boy
Sup,
to
your boy?
5'6". Like we found the one person keeping Teen Titans Go on the air because you said you like Teen Titans Go.
Oh, sorry, guys.
People really hate that show.
I don't know why. It's such a pleasant little show.
It's because people were really attached to the more, I don't want to say adult, but like the more adult version from the early 2000s, which I loved that show too. But you just got to understand that it's like, this is a more kid friendly, more just like having fun with it version. Nothing wrong with
Yeah,
it.
and it's so lighthearted. I don't know. I like now anytime I see the Teen Titans and it's serious or are they teens all the time? Is it always
Yeah.
Teen Titans? Okay.
They never grow
I'm
up.
always like I didn't know if maybe they were teens in the kids version and they're the middle-aged Titans for everybody else. But it doesn't sit well with me. I want it to be silly and funny. They're teenagers.
Did you see Teen Titans Go to the movies, by the way?
No. Actually, maybe.
There is a song, Robin sings a song, My Superhero Movie, and you know what? It slaps.
I think I do remember that. This was years ago, right?
This has got to be like 2016, 2017.
Yeah. I do remember that.
It is on my Spotify playlist, and it's great.
Of course it is. And of course it is.
That's all I got. Should we get to the verdicts for This Is the End?
It's Judgment Day.
You should have said this is the end of the mail.
Oh.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
Yeah, it's my movie. I'll go first. I think that one, this is a great concept that I'm shocked. I think that one, this is a great concept that I'm shocked hasn't been done more. I did not cut around the fact that my voice just gave out for a second there. I am fine.
Cracking like a prepubescent teenager.
I was talking like this, like it was just gone for a second there. Okay, I'm fine though.
Okay.
I think this is a great concept.
Pause. Did you watch the Super Bowl halftime show?
Of course, I watched this real halftime show.
Did you hear Alicia Keys' horrific voice crack?
Yes, and you heard that they removed it when they posted it on YouTube?
No.
Yes, when the NFL posted it on their YouTube channel, it's like they smoothed out the audio. They did something so that there's no voice crack anymore.
Well, she cracked like 2 other times.
I didn't really notice the other times. Like I wasn't listening that strictly for her voice cracks, but yeah, that's not cool. Don't rewrite reality. It happened. We were there.
Wow. Yeah. That is so crazy. Yeah, what the fuck? Like
It's
the
like
thing
if
is,
it's also like if the NFL posted a clip of like Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake, but she just had more clothes underneath. Like,
yeah.
we know what
Yeah.
happened. Like,
We know what happened. It's just like the voice crack to me, it's like, listen, I couldn't get up there and sing that song. My voice would crack like crazy. Like, good for you, Alicia Keys. You're still Alicia Keys. But also, you have one job. You didn't warm up beforehand. You know what I mean? Like, or if you are if you understand that you're sick or you're whatever, then like don't belt it.
I guess. I also imagine, I wonder if nerves are a thing too. You're performing in front of a massive
Maybe.
audience.
But again, this is your job. You've been doing this for like 15 plus
That's
years,
true,
maybe
yeah.
more. Come on. Also, after the voice crack, you could tell she just kind of gave up. Like, she just gave up. It was really, and then she cracked a few more times, not as noticeable, but Corey and I noticed, and we were like, and it was just like, yikes. But otherwise, really good.
I guess
Very
I
Michael
thought
Jackson.
it was really good. I guess that's why
Yeah.
a lot of people lip sync it too. Like somebody had said that her, like, obviously wasn't playing the guitar when she came out. And I was like, I hadn't thought about it until I saw the clip on Twitter like the next day. And I was like, she definitely wasn't.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that either, but Usher was definitely singing.
And that roller skating.
Yeah, the roller skating didn't do it for me, but the Michael Jackson stuff did.
Well, as somebody who couldn't do roller skates to save their life, he roller skated through will.i.am's legs.
He did. will.i.am got fat.
will.i.am, how is he still here? Like, why are you still around culturally?
I mean, what else is he doing? You know,
I guess, like, wow.
he probably produces music for some
Little
people.
John looks great for a guy in his like mid-50s.
Do you know that Lil Jon has been sober this whole time?
Like he always was?
Yeah, like he doesn't drink or do drugs ever.
What a twist. As a guy who also doesn't really drink or do drugs, I could never be like, I'm the party man. Like,
I know.
he's like the
but
human Kool-Aid
that's why
man,
he looks
you know what
so
I mean?
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
But that's why he looks so good. Ludacris, very handsome.
I guess he looked funny with the pads on a little bit.
Yeah, that was a little ridiculous. Anyway, is it my turn or are you
Well,
still
you
gonna
never
talk?
really let me finish there.
Okay, go ahead.
You went pause and then you went my turn.
That's how I like it.
No, I think it's a great concept. I think if you love that meta humor, you're really going to enjoy this. It is a very cool time capsule. It's so cool to see them playing themselves. It's cool to see who shows up, and it's legitimately really funny, I think. So I'm going to say it's Moon Watch Before You Die, and I think you should give it a shot if you definitely haven't seen it. I would highly recommend. Gab, tell me why you disagree, you son of a bitch.
So I actually went in with really high hopes because I do really think that the concept is cool. And I'm gonna be honest, I think if it were a different cast, or a different vibe, I probably would have loved it. And I'm not even talking about like, let's make it girls. I mean, like if it were, I don't know, anybody that isn't in this very
If it were the
specific.
90s and it's Adam Sandler, Jim Carrey, David Spade, and Chris Farley.
Wow. Yes. Absolutely 1,000,000%. Yes, 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 yes. There is something about this group that I don't like.
That's fair.
And the only thing I can say to you is that it's like very gross, disgusting boy dick humor. And I don't think
I
it's
realized
funny.
as Danny McBride is going, I'll come wherever I like, talking about the quarterback. I was like, this is not Gab humor. Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not that I'm offended by it. I just don't think it's funny. Like, I'll come wherever I want. Like, I'm like a fire hose. It's like, it's like, I just
You didn't
don't.
have brothers
I don't know.
who taught you how to aim? No, I grew up in a household of women.
Yeah, like I just don't think it's funny.
Yeah, it's fair.
And that's not to say that other people can't think it's funny. I just don't personally think it is. And I wanted to like it. And I think exactly like you said, if it were that group of guys, it would be a different type of humor. It probably would have landed better for me. It didn't do it. I also, and I don't know why, but I do have a thing with like all of these like kind of beloved, wholesome seeming people being like really disgusting, that I'm like, oh, like I liked it better when they were more wholesome seeming.
That's why you got Paul Rudd there.
Yeah, and that's why I love that. But I was like, oh, I love Michael Cera. I don't want this. Like, I didn't ask for this.
Well, I think I feel like I'd be surprised if Michael Cera wanted to have anything else be done with his character, because I imagine for Michael Cera, he's often typecast into the same role. So I think it was probably a lot of fun
100%.
for him to do something so outlandish for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I that's fine. I'm
Like
literally just
he
talking
and
about
Jesse Eisenberg
consuming.
get stuck in that same box.
Yeah. Well, Jesse
Yeah.
Eisenberg sucks.
He's the
But,
less funny Michael Cera, yes.
I really, really, really wanted to like it, and I have to be honest with you, I just didn't. And it really was not the fault of the movie. It was just that it's not for me.
Which is fair. Did you like hate it, or it was like it was funny, just didn't hit that level?
There were parts of it that were funny.
Okay.
I think there were parts of it that were not in that realm of humor that I was like the jokes that I mentioned, like about the gluten and stuff like that. You know, when I don't know, when they're playing with the gun, bang, bang, bang. Like
Yeah.
there were moments that were more funny to me. And then there were moments that I just thought, like, anytime something goes like so off the rails of ridiculousness that it's like supposed to make you laugh because of how absurd it is, like, I don't think absurdism is all that funny. And I definitely don't think that dick humor is funny. And
Which there's a good amount of in there, so that's fair. It's totally
so
fair.
much. And I wish I did. I hate to be a killjoy. I wish that I thought it was funny. But even when I was a little kid and like people would draw dicks, I just didn't think it was funny. You could put a top hat on it. You can make it a tap dance. I don't know. I don't think it's funny. I'll tell you what is funny though. Laughing at somebody's dick.
What?
That always makes people upset. Go ahead, try it. Next time you see a dick, start laughing. See the reaction you get.
I mean, I
That's
don't
funny.
intend to see
Now
him
that's
anytime
humor.
soon, unless I'm just living it myself, which I normally just
Go
cry,
ahead.
but yeah, maybe.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Okay. Not
Yeah,
where I
I'm sorry,
expected this
Dill.
to end up. I do feel like I'm disappointed that this isn't a type of movie we see more often, where it's the people playing themselves, taking advantage of like, what's this celebrity known for type of thing.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah,
do
yeah.
think that you could make this once every 10 years with a new comedic cast and like
Yeah.
have it be a totally different movie with a totally different sense of humor, but the same concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that concept works for sure.
Like I like your overly serious version. I think there's probably a lot of humor to be mined in that.
Absolutely. I think
And I also, it should have been my pitch, the 90s version.
yeah, that was great. They're both great.
Throw Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy in there too.
Oh, now you're speaking my language. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
All
Well,
right.
Sorry about your shitty movie, but it didn't do it for me.
Well, that came on harsh at the end, but that's okay. What do we say at the end of this, Gab?
Movies to watch before you die at gmail.com, anchor.fm/movies to watch, Linktree below, Hall
There's a
of
link tree in the
Pods
description
Network.
below. We're part of the Hall of Pods podcasting network, and you can find their link tree below for our podcasting friends.
Venmo me.
That's in the link tree below for Movies to Watch Before You Die. You can find Gab's Venmo and other things. Have people ever Venmoed Gab?
Yes, Keen Machine. And maybe Scotty Cameron also.
They each sent you like $1 or something. Yeah.
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 It might have been more than that. But yeah, there's
Whatever it
still
was,
time.
it's more than you deserve.
Probably.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Come back next
Okay.
week when we'll talk about another movie.
Yeah.
We got to go.
We got to go.
I actually just adopted this incontinent spaniel. She's a really beautiful soul. Her name's Aja.
Aja?
Yeah.
How do you spell?
Ahjhai.
A-H.
You want to see a picture of her?
Aja.
She's so
Hey!
sweet. Look at her.
Aww.
She can't bark. She doesn't know how. So
She doesn't know how to bark.
she doesn't know how to bark. So I've tried to teach her, and she just
can't
kind of
bark.
screams. And so she was up, had her face smushed against a cage, and was like, "Ah!"